What if you could lead more effectively and go home on time? Welcome to the Lightbulb. I'm Zoe Thompson, leadership and performance coach, and each week I bring you 3 practical insights from my work helping impact-driven leaders transform from reactive to intentional leadership so they can finish work on time and take guilt-free time off, creating success that feels as good as it looks. Let's jump in. Hey folks! Episode 4, and I'm just going to dive straight into it this week because I have picked out my 3 light bulb moments from this week, from client conversations, from the Blueprint program, from a workshop that I delivered with a leadership development program. And I think they're going to be really useful to you. So I have touched on some of them in social media posts this week, but Instagram gives you 2,200 characters to work with. That includes the spaces. LinkedIn is less than that. So it's quite often difficult to go into details on social media posts. So this is a great opportunity for me to be able to talk it through and hopefully provide a little bit more to help you in your day-to-day role. So first one for me this week. Now, this comes up a lot in lots of different conversations, and that's the firefighter identity. So let's be honest, I think a lot of us really enjoy crisis mode. We enjoy stepping in when things get a little bit chaotic. We love that element of our leadership role where we get to step up, step forward, and make those decisions and control the situations. And often that's something that has helped us to get those promotions or to build our business. So this came up again this week, and it comes up a lot, but it did come up again this week. And it was during the leadership workshop. And we were talking about how, it's come up in 2 workshops this week. So we talked about it in the Blueprint program, and someone shared that actually, they do enjoy that element of the, that stepping up when things are all happening and it's all going off. And we also talked about it in the leadership development workshop later on in the week. And people said that actually it's something that they do really enjoy. They want to be helpful. They want to be supportive. They want to step in. And we talked about it and we realized that actually for a lot of people, that is what's made them successful. It is what has helped them to get where they are. They like being a firefighter for their team. However, they are recognizing that perhaps that's not helpful. Perhaps it tips the balance. And the comment that was made is that perhaps they're addicted to the adrenaline of that rush of high pressure situations. So we do get that dopamine hit. We do get the adrenaline hit when things are happening. And we do get that hit from solving urgent problems. But when we firefight, it means that we are stepping in, we're getting involved. And it often means that we then have the risk where we create that high pressure environment for ourselves when it's not needed. So procrastination leads to higher pressure. So it's that dopamine hit, that adrenaline hit of getting it done last minute under pressure, which actually then can create other problems where we miss the detail or we get things wrong or we're potentially, something else comes in that we're not expecting, then we potentially risk missing the deadline. So it's come up in a couple of conversations this week. People recognizing that it's not necessarily good, even though they enjoy it. And it's that thriving in a crisis mode, but actually questioning whether or not that is the right option. And ultimately, that is reactive leadership. And it can feel easier than intentional leadership because it's familiar. It's what we're used to. It's what we're good at. So our brain wants us to go into reactive mode because it recognizes that that's actually a comfortable and familiar place for us to be. The shift that's required is recognizing that we don't have to be the best problem solver on our team, and actually taking that step back, slowing down, being more intentional means that we can create and build and support a team of problem solvers rather than being the problem solver. So it's our responsibility to find a solution. That doesn't mean that we have to be that solution or implement that solution. So if you're someone who would describe yourself as somebody who loves being able to save the day, then just check in with where that might be out of balance in your role as a business owner, as a leader, and whether or not it's creating an environment where everybody is coming to you to be rescued rather than coming to you with problems and solutions for discussion that they then take back away to implement. So just check in with that identity and where that might be sabotaging your leadership development, where it might be holding you back. So if we use the firefighter analogy, remember that here in the UK, the chief firefighter has a white hat, and those white hats don't go into the building, regardless of how chaotic it gets, how much of a crisis it becomes. They're always on the outside of the building because that's where they're able to see what's going on. So we want to make sure it's fire prevention and fire leader, not firefighter. More intentional, more strategic. Brings me nicely onto my second light bulb from this week. And this links into one of the topics that we covered on the leadership development workshop this week, and it's how to elevate from being tactical to strategic and checking in with where our time actually goes and where we want it to go. So we talked about different categories. So the AAA time framework is the framework that I work through with people. It's also now the free download on the website. So if you don't have that, if it's not something that, if you haven't worked with me, then you can have access to that through the website. So just go and pop your name and email in and it will get sent straight through to you. So there's 3 elements to the AAA time framework: ascend, anchor, and avoid. And when we increase our awareness of where our time is going, we are able to see so much easier where the time is being wasted. So I always say to people, like, I can't give you more time, but I can help you to get time back. And that's by identifying the time that is being wasted. We want our time to be an investment, and we want to make sure that we are investing our time where we get the biggest return of investment. So we've talked about this. We talked about this as part of a discussion in the workshop. And it was important for them to really understand the difference between tactical and strategic. And there is a spectrum to it. And actually, as leader, we need to be able to be in the short-term tactical. And we also need to be forward-focused, future-focused, longer-term strategic. And this is something that comes up with individual clients in one-to-one sessions as well. So we need to look at where we can operate more at that strategic level and where we need to be delegating those tactical tasks and activities out into our teams a little bit more. Checking in that we are blocking time out for that strategic work and strategic thinking. Being available for your team is one thing, but we want to make sure that we are available where possible, that it doesn't compromise what's important to us in having that time to work on our strategic tasks. So set that time in your calendar, put that time aside, time block it, and then commit to it and make sure that it happens. So your calendar tells the truth. If you look at your calendar for your average week and you're spending 80% of your time on tactical tasks and only that 20% on strategic thinking, strategic work, and you're not leading, you're in that more of a managing role. So it's really important to increase your awareness. And the best way to do that is to audit your time, see where it's actually going, and make sure that you put that time into your calendar and commit to it. So Lightbulb 3, and I think this is something really enjoyed talking about in the workshop this week, and that's the balcony and the dance floor. And I think it's such a great visual way to see the difference between that strategic and intentional leadership to more tactical and reactive leadership. So I hadn't seen this before the workshop on Thursday when I was researching the topics that I wanted to deliver, and I was looking at different models and different frameworks. This was one that jumped straight out at me. I'm a very visual person in terms of the way that I like to learn and the way that I remember things. So this was perfect for me. So I talked through the concept at the workshop. I also shared a social media post talking about it as well. So if you've not heard of this before, here's a quick summary. So the balcony and the dance floor. So the dance floor is the tactical reactive leadership. So it's in the action, making tactical decisions, immediate responses in that reactive mode. The balcony is where you step back, step up for a different perspective. So it allows you to have that strategic thinking. It allows you to be able to see patterns, and it allows you to be able to take that step back, to be able to make those intentional choices. Now, for a lot of us, we like to stay on the dance floor. It feels productive. It's what's expected. It's where fires need fighting. But what's helpful to us in our leadership roles and for our businesses, that we need to take that step back, because otherwise we're at risk of being more reactive. We're only making short-term decisions to get things done rather than the long-term decisions that drive momentum, that create systems and processes and a culture that makes things easier in the long term rather than just taking away the pain in the short term. So in the same way that we talked about a minute ago, we want to make sure that we're building balcony time into our week, not just when a crisis forces us up there. We want to ideally, and this will depend on where your business is in terms of its development or what type of leadership role you are in, but we want to start learning to start with strategic thinking and then step into the reaction rather than an automatic step onto the dance floor and then go up to the balcony. We want to practice being on the balcony and stepping down to the dance floor when we need to. So we need to make sure we build balcony time in. We want to try and be more intentional by spending more time on the balcony. And then the discipline of scheduling the balcony time, even when the dance floor is busy. So if we're always on the dance floor reacting to what's happening around us, we don't see the patterns, and we can only see what is immediately around us because we don't have that wider view. We don't have that larger viewpoint that's going to help us. So building that into our week, being more intentional and being able to step back and have a look at the bigger picture helps us to be able to see solutions that work for the longer term, not just those short-term fixes. So those are my three. I would love to know what is resonating with you out of the topics that I've talked through this week. But that kind of wraps it up and brings it to time. I did say in episode 1 that I was going to try and keep these to 15 minutes. I know the last couple kind of went closer to 20, but we're going to wrap this one up nice and quickly. I've been out and about a lot of this week. Spent the day yesterday volunteering with Community of Purpose. So they're one of their programs with young people. So enjoyed some time out yesterday. I've spent the day today cooking, and I've got a basketball road trip tomorrow. So I'm going to wrap it up there because I've still got a ton of washing up to do. So I'm going to go and get on with that. And I'm going to wish you a great week ahead. And those are your 3 takeaways for this week. Before you go, ask yourself, what's my light bulb moment from this? And now that I know what I know, what will I do differently? Choose one action, however small, and commit to it. That's how overwhelmed and reactive becomes aligned and intentional. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week on the next episode of The Lightbulb.